Yo, so today we're gonna be going over how to Looksmax, right? We're gonna be going over a few things: getting lean, washing your face, eating healthier, avoiding greasy foods, and drinking water, right? So if you don't know what Looksmaxing is a very contentious term, I guess, because like there's different like facets of the looks maxing community, right? There's the people who have more realistic goals. There's the people like the black pillars who are very much um, very doomy, doomery. Like they're stuck in the whole it's all about genetics and they just give up, bro. If you weren't already handsome when you found looks maxing, bro, just you know what I'm saying? Like those are just rope max, bro. Try again next time, Bakugo, take a swan dive. Maybe you'll be born with a quirk. You know what I'm saying, dude? Like there's lots of different people in the looks maxing community. Basically, what I see looks maxing as, and what it really is, like at its core, is maximizing what you have to work with, right? A lot of people get too focused on the unchangeables. They'll be like, oh, height, this, bone structure, this, zygomatic bone mass, density, all that stuff. It's about doing what you can with what you have. That's why it's called looks maxing, not being handsome. It's it's called maximizing your looks, what you have to work for. If you start off as a two and you end up as a four, sure, four is still below average, but you're less below average than you were before. So that's you maximized what you have. If you start off as a five and you end up as a six, yeah, you're not like, model level handsome, but you've maximized what you had. If the max you can get to is a six, well, you've looks maxed, bro. So yeah, let's start off with the most important one, I think, getting lean. Now, the reason why I think it's the most important one is because it kind of, the process of getting lean will help you with other things, because to get lean, what do you need? Calorie deficit, how is that achieved? You tend to eat healthier foods, which obviously help with like clearing out your skin and all that, because it'll be healthier, less greasy foods. So getting lean, why is it important for looks maxing? Well, a big thing is that not even like getting lean in your body, because we're focusing more in terms of the face, kind of depending on how I'm talking when, how my conversation flows. But it won't just make your body leaner, but more importantly, your face leaner. And the more lean and chiseled your face is, the more of your facial like bone skeleton details show, right? You'll get like a more chiseled jaw. Your jaw will be more visible. If you have good cheekbones, they'll become more prominent. If you have a propensity for like hollow cheeks, they'll become more visible. Your face will just look better, the leaner you get. Obviously, there's like a limit where you just start looking like you're dying. But if you get into healthy lean, then your face will just look better overall. There's only benefits to being lean. So yeah, getting lean, that would be the biggest one, I think. Washing your face. Now on the internet, I think some people overdo it a bit, in terms of the skincare routines. They do like so much when at its core, all you really need is washing your face and moisturizing it, right? So get some sort of facial cleanser or exfoliation. Me personally, I have both an exfoliation like gel scrub and facial cleanser, right? And both of them are like twice a day use, morning and night. But what I do, I have one in the shower and then I have one just on the sink. So I have my exfoliation one in the shower. So I use that once a day, when I'm in doing my first shower. And then I have my cleanser for right before I go to sleep. So even if you just buy a cleanser, it will still work. Um, just, once in the morning when you wake up or when you're showering or something, and then once before you go to sleep, just to wash off the dirt that you've gathered from the day. It becomes especially of importance like when you're exercising, because sweat can cause breakouts. Like if you just sweat and don't wash it off. Then the dried sweat can cause breakouts on you. So that's something to keep in mind. Eating healthier, I'd imagine it's pretty self-explanatory on why eating healthier would be beneficial. But for the sake of, letting you know, healthier foods not only tend to be lower in calories, but also because they have less like grease and oil, it'll just be better for your skin overall, right? Like you won't get as much breakouts because of oily skin. Because basically, how breakouts work, at least one of the mechanisms for breakouts, is the oil to water ratio in your skin, right? Your skin has an oil to water ratio, and when the ratio tips more in favor of oil, then then you'll have a breakout. So one of the ways that you can minimize it is by having less oily foods. Right? That's why like eating fried chicken can give you a breakout because it's so like fatty, greasy that the content of oil in you and in your face in particular will bounce more in the oil ratio, which will give you the breakout. So by eating healthier food, you just end up, you know, with less oil in your body overall. There's also the level of healthier food tends to be more nutritious, and a large part of looking better is very much about health markers, right? A lot of things that you just see as attractive very much is just indicators that you're healthy, right? Glowing skin means that you're probably sleeping well, you're eating well, and you're taking care of like your skin well. Being tall, that's just a sign of general imposingness, right? Which is somewhat healthy. Muscle, right? That's a sign of strength. Leanness, that's a sign of being in a good body fat ratio. You're not so fat that you're like now struggling to do things like running and stuff, but you're also not too thin that you're now like in starvation mode. You're like in a good balance. Like lots of it is just health markers. So eating healthier, being healthier in general will make you more attractive just by virtue of you fulfilling more health markers, right? More and things that will show in your face because you're eating more nutritious meals, right? Avoiding greasy foods. I think I went over this in quite a few of them. The oil to water ratios, the same way that eating less greasy foods will, decrease the ratio and keep it in favor of water. If you eat more, it'll tip in the other way. So you just want to, the less you eat, the less breakouts you'll have, right? Like something, me personally, I've always had very greasy skin. It's just genetically where I am. Some people have dry skin, some people have like medium, and some people have greasy. I'm on the greasy side. So one thing that I did like last year because I realized it was an issue is that I completely dropped KFC. Like I used to have KFC like every second week or something. And even like that year, but like 2023, I had it like much more just because I was always ordering it and stuff. And 2024 beginning, I was like, I'm done. Like the taste of KFC isn't worth how badly it affects my skin. Like when I'm talking, I would get like some people they'll eat KFC, then they'll get like a pimple or something the next day. I'm talking 30 minutes after eating, I have a pimple on my face. Like it was not worth it whatsoever. I was like, for the amount of pleasure that I get, I'll get more pleasure from looking better than I'll get from just eating KFC. So I dropped it completely. And it's done wonders for me. Because even though I now sometimes have breakouts and stuff, it's mostly from like sugar related things, which is something else that I'm fixing. But the KFC breakouts were hectic. Like they were genuinely not worth it at all. So, and greasy, you'll find that you don't miss it as much as you think you do. Especially like if you drop something big, like something that affects you particularly hard compared to the other ones, and it's just like its own thing. Just dropping that by itself, you'll find that you don't actually miss it as much as you think you do, and you only really craved it so much because you had it so much. So keep that in mind when you're deciding what greasy food in particular you need to drop. And the last one, drinking water. Now, the main thing for drinking water goes back to the health markers, right? Drinking water will make your skin more glowing. It'll push the ratio of the water to oil in your face towards water, so you'll have less breakouts. You'll be overall more healthy because water is good for you. And also, I found tends to give me more leeway if it's like a particularly bad day in terms of maybe I'm eating like crisps or something, which tend to be more greasy. Or if I'm eating a lot of sugar, I tend to drink more water just to minimize the effect on it. And I found on days where like I eat badly, but I don't drink any water, I get worse breakouts than when I drink water. So that's something to keep in mind. Drinking water is just a go-to tactic. Even just in terms of outside of just skin purely, the more if you drink a lot of water, water just takes up space in your stomach without actually giving you calories. And the nice thing about that, it helps with getting lean because obviously your stomach's fuller, but you haven't eaten as much energy as you could have. So it helps with the hunger. Yeah, it helps with the hunger. It helps with you feeling more full. If you like drink water while eating food, it'll increase how full you feel after the meal. Water is a go-to strategy that I recommend everyone use, even like outside of Looksmaxing, just for if you're cutting for the gym purely or something. It's a very good tactic. But yeah, that's about all. Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed the video and it helped you, gave you Looksmaxing tips that you weren't so sure about before, leave a like. If you want to say something, leave a comment. Share it with your pterodactyl, Tyrannosaurus Rex. Share it with your Velociraptor. Uh, you know, if you want to see more, subscribe. Thanks for watching the video. Peace.